Hello, we're here with National Master Josh Sinanan of the USCL champion Seattle Sluggers. This is FM Mike Klein reporting. Josh, how you doing this afternoon?
Good. How are you, Mike?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Tell us first, how did you celebrate after the match win on Saturday?
Well, we went as a team over to a nice Mexican restaurant called Rosita's. Had some nice food and reviewed the games with VAR, and yeah, we had a great time.
Very nice. Now I know that when VAR comes into town, he likes to pick the restaurants. Who picked the restaurant this time?
Well, it was actually me and Eddie. We knew it was close by in the area. We were down in Green Lake, and there's a lot of nice restaurants close by, but this one was the most family-oriented, so that's why we chose it.
So you actually were studying chess and analyzing chess even after the finals.
Oh yeah, we never stop here in Seattle.
What did VAR think of your play?
My play personally,
Sure.
or as the team.
Your play in your game.
He thought he didn't say too much about my game. We mostly spent time looking at Roland's and Georgi's. I had a better rook ending for most of it. I think he said I could have tried maybe pushing d4 instead of trading everything on f4, but I figured d4 was winning, but I was kind of playing for the draw at that point because I knew the match situation only required me to draw on my board.
Right. We'll get back to some of the specifics of the games in just a second, but I want to talk about your season first. It was a little bit of a tale of two seasons. You went 4-0 to start the year, and then lost two in a row, and then came back and won 3.5 out of 4. What would you say was the biggest factor? This was by far your most successful season in the USCO.
Well, we did a lot more planning this year. I played white, I think, in all 7 games in the regular season, and that was intentional. We had FM Kurt Collier playing black on board 3, so we were kind of taking turns switching off and just focusing on one color. We kind of divided our team up into white players and black players, and we tried to run them with that same color as consistently as possible. But for me personally, I've been working on my white game a bit, so I think it showed in my results.
A 2490 performance rating, I would say so. Now, it seems like Kurt's a real team player playing all those blacks while you got all the whites. Did he draw the short straw, or is white is white just your forte?
Well, I think my stronger color is definitely white, and for Kurt, it's kind of more even, so we just agreed to have him play black on his first season, and it gave him some time to work on his Owens defense, which he's been trying to become a specialist in.
Interesting. I'm sure there's a lot of uncharted territory there. So that seems like a pretty big advantage, and not one that I've really heard of this year. You only had to study white all season. Do you think other teams might adopt this plan in the future?
Perhaps. Yeah, I think it's a good strategy. It really cuts down on your prep time because you can reuse prep from previous weeks. And actually, I didn't do a whole lot of prep during the regular season. I just, whatever came at me, I was ready for with the white pieces, so I didn't really need to prepare anything in particular. With black, I actually did more specialized preparation.
And did you find most weeks that you were getting into some of the openings that you were planning on?
Definitely. I was able to predict most of the openings my opponents played. A couple times I wasn't sure because they could literally play anything. But most of the time I had a general idea of what was going to be played.
And did the opening go as planned in your finals game against FM Dov Gorman?
Well, I was expecting it to be an open Sicilian, but I didn't really know what variation he was going to choose against the Khan. I actually expected 5 bishop d3. I found a game he played in 2010 in the Virginia State Championship, and I think he was playing against Greenius, and that was a Khan. And in that game, he played 5 bishop d3, so I had prepared against that. 5 knight c3 was a surprise.
I see. Now, as far as other team strategies, it seemed like the teams that did the best in the playoffs were the more balanced teams, not the 3 Grandmaster teams, but teams that had one very, very strong top player and then a more balanced boards 2 through 4. Would you agree that that's a better way to go in the league?
Absolutely. I think especially with when the best teams play each other. The match is usually decided on the lower boards. When you take two top players like a Kobe and an Ehrenberg, more often than not, it's just going to be a draw, uh, regardless of the colors, just based on their styles. So, yeah, I think balance is very important for a winning team.
Were you surprised that Ehrenberg repeated the position so early in the game?
Yes, that came as a big shock to us. In fact, after the game ended at our celebration, VAR was going over the game, and he mentioned that he was planning to play knight e7, knight f5, and defend the position, and perhaps Ehrenberg might even be worse if he doesn't repeat. So I understand the decision on the positional basis of the game, but given the team situation, I think Ehrenberg maybe should have played on.
I see. So his attack might have looked scary, but just to be clear, VAR was comfortable with his position at the point where they repeated. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Well, getting back to your game, you had mentioned some things in the end game, but I want to get back to the middle game for a second. There was some commentary by Grandmaster Sam Shanklin, and he thought that instead of you playing f takes e4, that you should just continue to build the pressure by playing rook g8 and rook c8. Did you see that plan, or did you not choose it because it was more risky, or tell us about your thoughts on that position?
Oh, when I traded everything on e4?
Yeah, he thought you
Yeah.
should play rook g8 to prevent e takes f5, and then
Yeah,
he thought you should play rook c8 after that, and then trade everything so your rook on c8 can invade on c2.
I see. Yeah, that plan. I didn't look at it too much during the game because I saw that I could get into the slightly better rook ending. Um, I think I may have played that way in another if it wasn't a team game. But yeah, I saw that he couldn't take on f5 after he castled. But I didn't really look beyond that too much. But that would have been an interesting way to have played.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll take a look at it some more. And if not, you can always ask Sham Shanklin about it because he seemed to think you were just winning. But I understand in a team situation you often play differently. Well, tell us, did you see when Georgy Orlov played Queen E3 that nice queen trade trick in the endgame?
Yeah, I did see it at that point. Orlov's game was going much faster than all the other games, and we weren't really sure what was going to happen on Orlov's board. Um, so we just kind of let him do his thing, and he and Fischer were both playing extremely fast. We were just hoping that Georgi would be able to find compensation for the material he was down. I think it was one or two pawns for a while. But with Fischer's open king, I was always confident that Georgi would hold the balance in that position.
Yeah, it was a fascinating game to watch, and you're right. I can't say specifically, but I think they were on around move 40, and board one was on move 12 or something. So, is that Orlov's nature? I know Fischer plays fast. Was Orlov just trying to keep up on time, or what?
I think Orlov plays as quickly as his opponent does usually.
Okay. Well, I'm sure after Queen E3, you realized that Georgie knew what he was doing, and it was just a dead draw after that. So, well, at some point it became clear that all you had to do was not lose, as you said. What point in the game were you absolutely sure there's no way you could lose?
Probably only after I took his a pawn.
Okay, so when you took the final pawn, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and there was a couple ways to win after that. You had no trouble. Well, let's get back to Roland Fang. I mean, I guess he was the hero of the finals. He's only 11 years old. Who made the decision to start him, and why was it based?
Well, I made that decision when I was coming up with our lineup for the finals. Roland was away at the World Youth, and I think he did pretty well over there. I think he scored like a solid six points. He was my top choice for the finals because he's been working with VAR as VAR is his coach, and I knew VAR would help him prepare for the game. And Roland has a very sophisticated style for someone of his age. He plays very, very positionally and technically with white. So I thought he would be a good choice to go up against Costigan.
Yeah, I was thinking when I was watching his game, there was a moment where he could have taken the d5 pawn in the endgame straight away, but he played a very cautious king f2 first. And
Yeah,
I just thought that was very mature for an 11-year-old. I'm sure he probably wins by taking d5 anyway, but just to know that you can improve your position before winning the pawn, I could tell that he's got some very very good training, and that would make sense if Akobian's his coach.
Hmm.
Well, we should mention that you are the assistant manager of the team. Did you and Eddie collaborate on the finals lineup?
We did. We pretty much already knew we were going to run Var and Georgi on 1 and 2. The big question was who to run on board 3, me or Kurt. Um, my inclination was to run Kurt because we were black on board 3, and he'd been playing black for the whole season. But Kurt wanted me to play on board 3 because I had been in good form and just won game of the week. So we made the decision to run me. And then board 4, I wasn't too torn on that. I knew it was going to be Roland.
Is it hard to call your own number? I mean, it sounds like in this situation you weren't trying to. You were actually trying to not call your own number. But do you feel guilty on a given week calling your own number, or is it not something that you struggle with?
Well, I think the way our team is built, we really only have 2 regular board 3s, and maybe sometimes Marcel plays board 3, but it was either me or Kurt for most of the season. Um, and given that I'm at all the matches anyway, no, it wasn't too difficult to call my own number.
I see. Well, you had mentioned that a week before you had won your game. You won Game of the Week for beating International Master Shaheen Mohandesi in a small upset. And in that game, you had a queenside majority, and you just seemed to effortlessly push it down the board. Was it as easy as it looked?
Um, yeah, it was. I was surprised with how quickly the game ended. I was thinking he would try like knight c3 or playing f5 and e4 and advance his pawns in the middle. His king march to the queen side completely surprised me. Um, but it wasn't too unexpected because he had done something similar to beat Brigazzi, marched his king a lot. So I kind of thought, well, maybe it's his style to use his king in the middle game with the queens on. So perhaps I used that to my advantage.
Yeah, that's very insightful to notice something small like that he likes to, activate his king. So that shows some good preparation. Well, tell us, how much chess do you play outside of the league? Do you play a lot over the board?
I mostly play correspondence chess on GameNot. I play close to 200 games at a time, so I've been working on my opening theory a lot the past couple of years.
I would say so. Now, 200 games at a time. Do you get a couple days per move, or what?
Yeah, I usually play 3 days or to 5 days per move.
I mean, how do you keep track? Do you ever forfeit a game because you just lost track of it?
Oh yeah, it happens all the time.
What do you do for a living that allows you to be able to play so many games at once?
Well, I'm a full-time chess coach. I work with Georgi, and of course I used to work with Elena too. Um, I teach chess with them at the schools, and we run chess camps and classes and things like that at their academy.
Right, and is that going to be your career, you think? Do you enjoy coaching?
Oh, I love coaching chess. Yeah, it's my passion, and I plan to continue on with it and make a career out of it for sure.
Well, what did your students say to you when you got back to teaching after they found out that you won the finals?
Oh, they were happy for me and for the team. I showed them all the picture, and a lot of them are peers of Roland, so they were happy to see him on there too.
And when was the last time that you could beat Roland effortlessly? How long ago?
Oh, it's been a couple of years. He now can beat me in blitz. He's probably a favorite over most of our team in blitz, I would say.
I see, and I'm guessing as a strong junior, he may not be available as a board 4 next year. Is that right?
Probably not. We might move him up to board 3. We'll see how much he improves in the off season.
The scholastic chess scene in Washington State is very strong, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's very strong.
And has it been that way for a while, or has it only been in the recent years?
Well, we've had in the recent years it's become much stronger because of Elliot Neff and the Chess for Life Center, and also Elena and Georgi with their chess school. Um, we have a very strong scholastic community here, and it seems like there's a tournament somewhere every weekend with at least 100 kids playing chess. So it's a really great community.
I see, and we should remind listeners that Eddie Cheng informed us that this season was dedicated to Elena Donaldson, so I'm sure it was a nice tribute to her that you guys won the championship.
Yeah, it certainly was.
Well, some seasons I've looked and you only play about 3 games, and some seasons you play 6 or 7. Why is it that some seasons you play not so much, and some seasons you play almost every week?
Well, it mostly depends on who we have on our roster that season and the availability of the other players. This season we had a couple of players who could only play fairly infrequently, like Michael Omori and Orlov and Var, of course. They were not available on a weekly basis, so we often fell back to running Kostin and Slava on boards 1 and 2, and then on 3 it would either be me or Kurt. So I guess some seasons we just have more flexibility. This season we had less, so I ended up playing more.
Yeah, I thought your team was quite deceptive as a 4 seed because Var only played 3 regular season games, and if you include him, I don't think you're really a 4 seed. So it's nice to be able to fly him in when you can. Well, you've been.
Still there?
Go ahead. Are you there?
Yep, still here.
Okay, great. Well, I was just going to ask you in closing. You've been playing in the league since 2007. I think that's every year the Sluggers have played. And you've been in the league long enough to have once been a favorite against Daniel Naroditsky, so that's been quite a long time. What's been your favorite game or moment in your entire USCL career?
Oh, that's a tough one. Um, Probably, I guess it has to be winning the finals. I mean, nothing else really compares to that. But we've had a lot of fun seasons, and we've seen a lot of we've had a lot of high-profile players on our team in the past, such as Nakamura and Serper. So it continues to be an interesting journey.
And do you think that teams are going to be more prepared for your white and black strategy in the coming years?
I would think so. Yes.
Well, you've got all off season to figure out how to tackle that. But we want to thank you for your time. We were here visiting with Josh Sinanan, National Master for the USCL champion Seattle Sluggers. Thanks very much, Josh, for your time.
Thanks, Mike.
And before we leave, we want to thank our sponsors, PokerStars, Chess.com, and the ICC.